Russ McCall, Dennis Farrell, recapping yet another week in wrestling. We're now post-Royal Rumble. Russ, were you happy with that?
I was really happy with the Royal Rumble. I thought it was a great show from head to toe, with the exception of the men's battle royal.
And we will get into all
details.
that
Yep.
a little bit later in the show. I want to say that I enjoyed the show. The glaring, most WWE pay-per-views for me is when it's bad, it's really bad, and it's bad enough to hurt the rating for the pay-per-view.
Sure.
For this year's Royal Rumble, what was bad didn't really hurt. You go, I don't know.
It stung a little bit, but I'll pass. I'm going to give it a pass and keep going.
Yeah, and for the most part, I think from top to bottom, it was a good pay-per-view for the WWE.
I fully agree. I think it was a great show.
Raw and SmackDown afterwards, were you happy with those?
Not as
Same
much.
old,
Yeah,
same.
same old. You know, there were some weird spots, some direction changes and things like that were happening that we will get into a little more, but, it's still Raw. It's still 3 hours.
They need a reduction. It won't happen, but they need one.
It's still tough to get through.
I got to say something before we get into some wrestling talk, Russ. Yeah. I absolutely love it when friends of mine from my old younger days living in Atlanta, Georgia, do something great, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would call him one of my best friends. We ran into a great group back in the day, right? We were not bad kids. We were not hooligans. But we do things.
Okay, so you're preferencing this, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the preference, we know, where this is going. But go ahead.
So we did stupid stuff like we bought this gigantic big red ball and we kick it around each other. And the game was called Big Red Ball, and the rules were there were no rules. And the only time we played was at like midnight on the weekends in some open park. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we did. Because of my buddy Joseph, he got me into working in a movie theater, and he was always there for me. Well, he just started a podcast. It's a great podcast, and I want to tell everybody to go out, listen to it, follow him. Follow him on Twitter, first of all. It's Joseph Mazerac, Mazerac. Go follow him because he is truly a great guy. The podcast he just started, which I listened to the first 2 episodes. Very kid-friendly. If you are looking for a podcast for your kids to listen to that's a storytelling book, this is the podcast you want to go to. I know, Russ.
Fantastic, yeah.
You should. It's called the Blue Deck Audio Podcast, Into the Attic of the World. Go Google it, look it up. I believe it's bluedeck.com or thebluedeck.com. Go out there, follow it. So good luck, congratulations. When we come back, we're going to talk some wrestling news here on the Wrestling Perspective Podcast. Russ McCall, Dennis Farrell, back with the Wrestling Perspective, heard on over 80 radio stations throughout the United States here on SB Nation. Welcome back. By the way, Wrestling Perspective is powered by Blue Chew. If you go to bluechew.com, use the promo code PERSPECTIVE because we changed it up a little bit. We'll send you the first order for free. You just pay the $5 shipping and handling it. It's the lifeblood of the show. We don't continue unless Blue Chew is here. So go support Blue Chew. You support us. Everybody's happy, Russ.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Let's do some news. What a busy news week post-Royal Rumble. I guess we'll start with the big elephant in the room. The biggest news headline, Dean Ambrose leaving.
Yeah, Dean Ambrose leaving WWE, gave him his notice that he's not renewing his contract when it comes up in April. And I would, from anyone's guess, but I mean, I would imagine it's probably AEW bound.
I don't think so. I think Dean Ambrose is going to be independent for the long time.
Wow.
Get his feet back under him. Look, the landscape of independent wrestling has changed since the last time he's been on it. You think of the last time Dean Ambrose has been in the independent scene. I think it's going to take him some time to reinvent the Jon Moxley character that, assuming he even goes back to Jon Moxley, he's not going to be Dean Ambrose.
No, he won't.
But he could be Jon Moxley. That's what got him famous. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's going to just kind of float around, get his feet back under him, take some time off. He does it, after his 90-day no-compete, which puts him into April when he'll be eligible.
Yep.
I don't see him signing anywhere right away.
Well, no, I could see him going a few months, even through the summer, doing some independent stuff, maybe making some spots here and there. But at the end of the day, when the money's on the table, you've got till the fall before AEW is essentially going to launch. So I mean, I think it's hard pressed to say by the time Halloween rolls around, he's not on TV somewhere.
But do they not? They may not even have a budget for him. Because now,
I'm sure they do.
Tell him by the clock here in the O'Reilly Auto Parts podcast studios, we're only a few minutes away, depending on where you are in the United States listening to this, to Kenny Omega being a free agent.
Yeah.
Now, if Kenny Omega goes to AEW, you've got Chris Jericho in the highest contract he's ever been given. At some point, someone's going to have to say, all right, guys, let's stop handing out contracts and start putting on shows.
But you've got to hand out those contracts in order to put on a show.
You do.
At the end of the day, you've got to have the talent. You've got to have talent that people know, that people want to see. And Jericho is a great get. Kenny Omega is a great get because they've got name value in their different circles. Jericho's a step removed from being the highlight guy. Mm-hmm. And Kenny Omega's a huge star independently and in Japan. But Dean Ambrose is the Lex Luger stepping out on Nitro. That's the kind of star you need to shock the system and to be able to put that in. I think it's a smart move. I think it's the move they're going to make. I think it's the move he's going to make, and you're going to see it.
I am not super excited if he goes to AEW. I think he'll have more of an impact everywhere else. If he just
I disagree.
If he pops up everywhere else, because you throw him on AEW with the Bucks, Omega, Cody, Jericho, he kind of goes back to now that second to third tier guy compared to those guys.
Not if he is your headline heel.
I don't think he will be, though.
I absolutely do.
He's got to be.
Have you seen his work as Jon Moxley before?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's hardcore heel. And it was fantastic. If he pulls that role again, you've got a headline heel. Kenny Omega's not going to get booed. Jericho's your in and out legend. Why not? There's your ready-made face and heel face of the company.
We'll try to talk about this a little bit more.
Yeah.
We're running out of time in the news segment, but but you did take my question I was going to ask you is who's going to be the hotter free agent. Yeah. I agree with you. It's going to be Dean Ambrose, especially here in America, United States.
Yep.
Maybe globally, I can give you Kenny Omega, but in the United States, it's Dean Ambrose.
It's Dean Ambrose. It's Dean Ambrose everywhere. WWE's a global company.
What do you think of Daniel Bryan's new belt? We saw on Monday night he dumps the traditional leather-bound strap in the trash. He brings out this new eco-friendly belt, which at first I thought it was like a fake cardboard belt, but more looking at it, it's pretty good quality for what it is.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
I can't wait to get it on WWEshop.com.
It's available already.
Tonight, save 20% off all eco-friendly belts.
20% off every week. No better deal. I've been looking.
So do you like the belt?
I don't like it now.
Why?
But here's the thing. I don't like the WWE belt designs currently at all anyway.
I don't
Outside
either.
of the Intercontinental belt, I don't like any of the designs they've currently got. So it's just a different another version of that same design. We've got 4 other versions of it.
I liked it because it was different and unique. I haven't liked the belt since before the spinner. I mean, when they introduced the spinner, I was like, what is this crap?
Garbage. That was a garbage belt. That unified belt they used.
I hated that one too.
See, I liked that one. I enjoyed that one.
It was kind of NWA-esque, but it was it didn't look right on Brock Lesnar or any of the big guys. And the same with the United States title right now. It looks so small and dinky around some of these guys' waists. It just doesn't look...
That Undisputed belt, I know they had actually used a couple versions because they noticed the same thing, that it didn't look right on different guys. So they had a larger version and a smaller version, whether they had it on Eddie or they had it on Brock Lesnar.
And finally, in this news segment, did Velveteen Dream just win the North American NXT Championship? Who knows? I don't know if you saw this. It was pretty hot headlines. At one of the tapings they did, Velveteen Dream beats Johnny Gargano. And then a few minutes later, they film an alternate ending to that ending.
Yeah.
So who knows what ending they're going to use, which is smart, by the way.
I like it. I'm cool with that. I think it's a fun thing to do. And they filmed it in a way where it didn't look like they're just coming out to reshoot an ending.
Right.
But you don't know what's going to actually air by the time they edit that show and put it on. Which is cool.
I wish Impact could do some more of that stuff. Is throw fans off, re-air alternate endings because that changes the course of different storylines.
Yeah, and it gives you an outing as you're watching. If you're they're filmed quite a few weeks in advance.
Right.
So if they've got alternate endings for things and they realize things aren't really getting over like they were hoping, you can kind of make some U-turns,
it's
based
not
on what
cost
you
you
have.
any more extra money.
They're already there.
You've got the guy already editing. You're already there. You just film.
It is some more thought because you do have to. I mean, it's like writing a choose-your-own-adventure book at that point. You've got to really figure out what those alternate endings are and how they can blend to each other and all that. And I don't want to understate how much work that is, but it'd be fun.
Exactly. But I do want to go back and talk about this Dean Ambrose thing. We have another minute and a half. I tell you, man, there's something that just tells me that he's might be going down the way of CM Punk. Not to the extreme where he's going to quit wrestling, but to the extreme where he may reject. Because look, AEW is not an independent company. Impact's not an independent company. We can talk more about this later.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see him kind of reject those kind of companies and go do what he wants to do.
I think he's going to reject that terrible idea of yours. You think he's going to go with...
It's not terrible.
He is going to go where the money is and where the creative freedom is, and that is going to be AEW.
Are we going to make a bet?
Yeah, absolutely we are.
You know what?
I'm always in for free cash.
Well, we're gonna work this out off the air and then present it next week on the air. But I like that idea of making a bet on.
We just call it the Dennis Hands Russ Cash bet.
Oh, I think
that's pretty much what
I love the name of that, by the way.
It's got a special ring to it, doesn't it?
And speaking of Dennis Hands Out Cash, coming up here in a second, we're going to go into my favorite segment called the commercial break, where it's got kind of titled
People Hand Us Cash. Keep it on the air.
Dennis pays off the mortgage on this ridiculously expensive new house that his wife had to have with a pool, but he's not happy about, so go buy the products that we're about to advertise. How do you like the name of that segment?
That's smooth. It really rings.
Is it? Good.
It swings.
Well, listen, when we come back from that segment, we will be talking Royal Rumble, our thoughts, highlights, lowlights, Raw and SmackDown highlights, lowlights. You're listening to Wrestling Perspective. We'll be right back. Post-Royal Rumble, that means we're now on the road to WrestleMania. It's Wrestling Perspective. You can listen to us over at WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. Russ McCall, Dennis Farrell. It's time to talk about our thoughts on the Royal Rumble. We kind of gave it an overall grade at the beginning of the show, and if you missed it, you can go over to WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com and subscribe, please. But I'll say this. I was not happy with the spots where the guys fell and then like one leg's up or they're laying on their hands. They need to end this now. To me, that is killing the Royal Rumble, Russ. I hate it. It was cute the first 19 times Kofi Kingston did it. It was kind of cute the one time where John Morrison did it and he walked across the barricade and then jumped over and oh my God, look what he did. But now it's tired. It's boring. It's played out. I'm done with that, Russ.
Yeah, I hate that spot, to be honest. Normally, I did think the fact that Kat, I'm never gonna get her name right, but the American Ninja Warrior girl.
Yeah, that was different.
The work she was doing was different. It was cool, and I was kind of intrigued because it was something different and a different spin on it. But right after that, then Naomi did it. And then later on, Kofi did it, and then
then Kofi did it again, and then someone else did it. And
it's
done with it.
overplayed.
It kills whatever Rumble momentum you have because we all know who's going to do it. Although I didn't see it coming in the women's, and I thought that was cool because you didn't know
exactly.
But when Kofi comes out, it's like, all right, what's going to happen this time?
Well, and they try to talk it up like it's some big to do that he's done this every year, and it's like, but he's never won. Like it's never been effective.
Yeah,
it works for a minute and then it goes down the wayside.
I thought that was, you know what? It would if I had to grade the men's Royal Rumble, those spots would hurt my grading for it, and I think overall it was okay. I was interested because they really teased Jarrett and Kurt Angle, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go Google it, kids.
Yeah.
But let's just say Jeff Jarrett swooped in and stole Kurt Angle's wife in real life, and they had a rivalry in the storyline based on it in TNA, and it I'd say not tempers were high, but people were on pins and needles because they didn't know.
A little high for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to tease us in the Royal Rumble where Jeff Jarrett comes out at 2 and Kurt Angle comes out at 4, I don't know if I remember if they actually touched each other.
I don't think they were in the ring at the same time.
Okay.
I think Jarrett was already out.
Okay, so they teased it though.
Yeah, it was of all the matches on the card, the men's Rumble was my least favorite.
Yep.
And there's a handful of reasons. It took what felt like 30 minutes to get that match started. I cannot stand Elias. I cannot stand that
I don't mind
guitar
that.
gimmick and the whole, like, play it for 2 seconds and move on. We got things to do tonight. We've been here a long time. Let's get this rolling. So I wasn't usually a big fan of the opening. Jarrett I loved, but other than that, not a big fan. They said some of the repeat spots. There were a lot of spots that I think the women beat them to. Yeah, it just felt like they were. I was watching the same thing over twice.
I know. I 100%.
And the second one drug on and on and on. But it was shorter.
Yes.
It was shorter, but it felt like it took longer.
You know what? It felt like the show went over, and they were trying to go through. In.
Because the first one was marked 2-minute intervals, and then the men's was marked as a minute and a half. Every 90 seconds they were coming out. And then you could tell by watching the time click, that wasn't 90 seconds.
No.
They were rushing those guys out there as quick as they could.
Yeah, and I think the Elias spot at the very beginning went a little bit over.
Way over.
And I don't hate it, but when I just saw Lacey Evans do it like 20 minutes ago, I don't need to see Elias do it.
Yeah, no, we saw the exact same spots over and over again. And frankly, not only did the women do them first, I think they did them better.
Here's one thing I do like about the Royal Rumble this year.
Yeah.
Not a lot of legend surprises. And I used to love them.
Yeah.
I enjoy them, but it seemed like it was the same legend for year after year after year after year. It got old. This year, they are highlighting NXT so much more, and I appreciate it. So maybe now in a year or two, when they do bring out a legend, let's say Edge comes back or somebody comes back, it makes it more special because you're not expecting it. I didn't like that, was it the pre-show or the day or two before they were kind of going through and talking about who was going to be in the Rumble? I don't want to know. I want it to be a secret.
You know what? I have to disagree on that because I'm okay with them revealing a handful of them, but you don't have to reveal all of them.
Well, I mean, there's the obvious ones when they come out. I get that.
And there's a fun aspect to it, I think, that frankly could add something to the show and fill up some of that dead space where you see guys over and over and over again in stupid comedy stuff. Those are old control centers we used to see when we were kids.
Right.
Something like that where you're running down and you should be excited about all the guys that are coming in, and they would throw in, you're going to see Aleister Black. Oh, hey, I'm excited. That'll be cool to see. Or you're going to, and you can leave guys for surprises. You don't have to announce all 30.
Right.
But you can go in and you can give us an idea, a hint, a little promo here and there about why a guy wants to win the Rumble and thinks he might have a shot. Or
that's fine.
Woman, same.
The obvious ones are okay.
Sure.
But, Johnny Gargano, what a surprise.
That was great.
What an awesome surprise. And I
Yeah.
was happy I didn't know he was coming.
Me too.
I was thrilled to know Aleister Black. You mentioned him. I thought that was a great surprise. They did a great job of that.
They did. They did a fantastic job with it. And again, I'm going to keep pumping back to that women's match and how great I thought it was because there were a lot of women in there, frankly, that I didn't know or
Like who?
barely knew. The girl, the big girl, tall girl from NXT UK.
Okay.
Again, the girl from American Ninja Warrior. There were a handful of girls like that were coming in. That some of the ones from the what do you call it? The Mae Young Classic as well. I didn't watch the Mae Young Classic this last time around, so I wasn't familiar with those girls. But they did a good job highlighting them, making them feel special, feel important, and feel like they belonged in the ring with the rest of them.
I think you're right. Once again, but it goes back to let's not oversaturate legends or people coming back. I was happy that we didn't see, and it's the same old legends every time.
Well, that's it. The fact of the matter is they didn't create this overabundance of nostalgia through their booking over the last 15 years.
Right.
The last era of nostalgia where people are like, oh, that's somebody I really want to see. And it shows because it's the guys they're still bringing back now, is the Attitude Era. If they had somebody they could bring back, Joey Mercury or Gene Snitsky, if they had done a decent job booking somebody in that last era, maybe you would have people you could do that with and be a surprise. But instead, you're still harking back to Jeff Jarrett, to Kurt Angle, to bringing out Road Dogg on Raw. So That's on them, and that's on their booking and the streak they put on the last.
We'll talk about Raw and
while.
SmackDown in the next segment. We're focusing here on the wrestling perspective, a little bit of post Royal Rumble,
Yep.
and I got to tell you, to me, the MVP of the Royal Rumble wasn't even on the show. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I'd like to hear this.
it's Tommaso Ciampa.
Really?
Listen,
Okay.
he put out a tweet that was phenomenal. And I think he put the tweet out just after Johnny Gargano showed up.
Okay.
And no, you know what? It might have been even before. But he said, I'm not entering the Royal Rumble because I already hold the belt that matters. That right
so
there.
good.
That right
So
there. It puts him heads and tails above everybody else chasing. I mean, you had Johnny Gargano just win the North American Championship, and here he is in the. To me, that solidifies him as the greatest right now champion in WWE, just because of that tweet where he says, "I don't need to enter that. You guys are chasing something beneath me."
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't know about him being the highlight of the Rumble match because he wasn't not being on the show.
That's the MVP.
But of the night, God, yeah, of
He
the
put himself-
weekend,
he
did a
just-
great job.
He just buried the whole main roster
Yeah,
in that one
and
tweet.
put himself over like a champ.
It did, and it doesn't get any due respect that it should.
Ciampa's somebody who's a lot like Becky Lynch. They really know how to use Twitter to their advantage and get that character over, man.
And-
he is solid with that.
I tell you, I'm a little disappointed at the way WWE is handling Becky Lynch right now.
Me too.
Oh man,
I was super sad to see her get pinned in the opening match.
that didn't bother me because it harkens back to when Seth Rollins got pinned by Randy Orton.
But Seth Rollins was a heel.
Yeah, but he still got pinned.
Yeah.
And then he came back and won the championship because it threw you off. When she lost, I didn't expect her. I think we all kind of expected her to come out at some point.
Yeah.
And when Lana came limping out,
I knew it was it.
I knew it was it. But through the whole match, I wasn't going, is Becky coming out now? Is Becky coming? It was kind of furthest from my mind because it was actually a good Women's. It's the best one they've had.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the best battle royal they've had in a long time.
And I love the fact, once again, you didn't bring in any of the legend women. You got to save them. You have so few of these women right now that they are an asset. You keep throwing them out in every Royal Rumble. The shine comes off of them.
No, absolutely. And they proved something that, if you remember, I mentioned last week that I thought was going to be an issue, which was saying, how are they going to keep doing this? They don't have 30 women in the main roster. They brought out all the legends last year. How many years in a row are you going to do that before people are like, ugh, again? Or these women stop wrestling? And they found a way. They stopped at the second year, and I'm impressed. They got it. Good for them.
Yes, and unfortunately, Amber Moon is out now. They lost her. We should have talked about that in the news segment, but I don't know how long she's going to be out. Did you see yet?
No, I didn't see a time frame, but she's
it
down.
might do her good because she has just become muddled in mediocrity.
Yeah, she's been floundering a little while
since coming up. I'm glad that they don't bring women or men back down to NXT. That, to me, you do that, it says a failure, and you almost bury a guy by doing that because he won't have the same traction in NXT as he would when he comes up and goes back down. They got to come up with a formula, though, to try to save them or help rehabilitate their image.
Yeah, and I don't know what that answer is. They've a better booking, to be honest. It means taking what you have built in NXT and the aura that those characters come in with, which are almost always high and solid, and not screw it up. That's where it starts, and that's not something they're good at.
Unfortunately, WWE is its own worst enemy because it has the most talented roster ever in the history of any wrestling organization, and you can't have 150 over guys. Someone has to take a pin. And at that point, you're not doing anybody any favors. Later we're going to talk about, is WWE panicking with what's going on with AEW and wrestlers asking for their releases? I think it's good that these guys are wanting to leave the WWE for the WWE.
I agree with you. Yeah, absolutely. It gives them competition, makes them hungrier.
All right, you're listening to Wrestling Perspective. Anywhere you get wrestling, that's where we are. WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. powered by Blue Chew. Go to Blue Chew, use the promo code PERSPECTIVE, get your first order for free. Just pay $5 shipping and handling, baby. That's how nice we are here. We're giving stuff away. So go do that. You do that. The show stays on the air. Everybody's happy. When we come back, Russ McCall, Dennis Farrell, we're going to talk a little Raw and SmackDown this week. Wrestling Perspective. We'll be right back. Road to WrestleMania. Where do you get all your news, info, and everything wrestling? Here at the Wrestling Perspective, Russ McCall, Dennis Farrell. We've talked Royal Rumble. If you missed it, you can go to WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. Catch up on any of the show that you've already missed. Heard in over 100 radio markets. I'm really excited about that, Russ. I'm famous again.
You are.
It's nice. About time. I used to be nobody, but now I'm somebody.
Now I'm piggybacking, so it's cool.
We talked Royal Rumble, recapping it. Let's talk about this week's Raw and SmackDowns. I only want to touch on the highlights.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest questions is, why does the WWE hate Asuka? Because think about this now. You had Becky Lynch, and we'll talk more about Becky Lynch going to Raw, challenging Ronda Rousey, right?
Yep.
Then you had Charlotte, which the rumor is she's going to make this a triple threat match, which is a mistake in my book.
Completely agree. Terrible mistake if they do that.
Where does that leave Asuka for WrestleMania? You now have three of the biggest women facing off against each other. If it were me, I would have had Charlotte go with Asuka. I would have had Becky go after Charlotte, or not Charlotte, but Ronda, and then you can have Becky and Charlotte champion versus champion.
I think that's eventually what they should do. I agree with you. But if they're really smart, if they're going to go down the road, if they're kind of hinting with this 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen thing.
It's stupid, by the way.
Yeah, which I don't like. But if they're going to go with it, they're going to need to get Charlotte and Becky on the same page and have a reason to unite. So you can't put them both in that match. I think what you're proposing would be the smart move because there's nobody else on that SmackDown roster that highlights enough to be able to go into a WrestleMania match with Asuka right now.
But once again,
so put Charlotte in.
But once again, you've de-elevated that championship belt now because it doesn't even mean anything. Was Asuka even on TV this week?
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know.
I mean, I
don't think so.
She might have come out, but it was not very memorable. It
Clearly,
would have been buried in the middle of the show. I was saddened by, I thought, great, and credit. Let's talk about this Ronda Rousey in situation because Ronda comes out and just gets destroyed by the crowd. She got flustered, but she came back really strong when Becky came out, and it made that very emotional. And the rebound was great in that promo, but boy, she looked scared. She looked like a fish out of water. She let that crowd eat her up there.
Yes, they did, and Becky capitalized.
Oh, absolutely. It
seemed
like Becky came. It seemed like they sent her out early.
Yeah,
because at first I thought,
Ronda was drowning.
Well, here's what I originally thought as a fan watching this. When she came out, I originally thought she was going to announce that she's going to take some time off because that was a rumor about how she was taking. And she kind of started the promo that way, and I thought the fans were trying to say, "Don't do it." And then as it started to unravel, I went, oh, okay, good. She's not, because I don't want to see her quit. I like her. I think the WWE and her need each other.
Yeah, absolutely they do.
But
for sure.
But what floored me was just how she just looked like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, I hate to hear that too because, that's more reason to script, I guess. Or maybe that's the problem. Maybe the scripting is the problem and it's too hard to remember those lines. If you just let them wing it, you'd end up with something better.
I would have hoped. But it rebounded very well. But it just seemed like Asuka is getting disrespected here in this scenario.
Yeah, and thinking about that too, though, the more you start to analyze it, it would have been nice to have her challenge Ronda and say, you want my answer, meet me on Tuesday. Yeah, we'll talk about it, right?
Yeah, they buried SmackDown too by having Becky come out there and announce it there.
They did. The difference, though, is I think they were trying to avoid putting Becky back in the ring with Asuka because Asuka just beat her. Mm-hmm. So for her to lose to Asuka on Sunday and then the next week come out with two choices and say, well, I want the other one then. this one beat me. I'll take the other one. It doesn't make her look very strong. So the more I think about it,
None of it makes her look very strong.
the losing didn't make her look strong.
No.
But so I get why she would
And by the
revert
way,
over.
winning the Royal Rumble with the fake knee injury didn't help it either because we knew her knee's not hurt. We get it. And by having her refuse medical attention doesn't do anything for me because I know it's part of the story. I get it.
But it's all part of the story. I was fine with that.
But
that
it's
didn't bother me
it's
at all.
part of making her look like the baddest chick in town. I can't use the words I want to use on the radio.
Yeah, but no, it is, and so I'm fine with it.
Not me.
Because it's part of the story. It's all part of the story, every bit of it. So I'm okay with them doing things like that. I thought it made her look tough. It made her look resilient, and really, I thought elevated Charlotte and her viciousness and her craziness after the fact.
Maybe craziness, but she didn't look vicious after she gets punched in the mouth, and that was it. But look, she beat up already beat up Becky. Didn't do anything for me. Once again, they could have done something more meaningful. I want to move on from this because this is something you and I are going to debate for weeks in and out.
Absolutely, we are.
But let's talk about Nia Jax. We purposely left her off when we were talking about the Royal Rumble recaps.
Yeah.
She comes out and basically takes out R-Truth, who just, by the way, won the United States Championship, as weird as that is.
I have no idea where that's going or why.
Slaps him around, gets into the Men's Royal Rumble, which it doesn't bother me. Here's the one thing I realize. Because I don't like it or because it makes me feel uncomfortable, doesn't mean it's good or bad. So I'm going to kind of step aside and go, I'm just going to stand back and watch it. Men and women wrestling each other doesn't bother me. I didn't like the way they did the Nia Jax thing. I thought, really? I thought it would have been kind of cooler if Becky would have won it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So, knowing that it's a set-up, orchestrated deal, the way they set it up doesn't bother me, but it doesn't entertain me either.
It didn't really.
It didn't entertain me at all.
It really devalued the guys in that situation.
Yeah, I don't like the man versus woman ideals. They did it in Lucha Underground, and that company sank and flopped.
Yeah.
That was a big component of their show, too. It's just not something I think people are interested in seeing.
It's not that I'm not interested. I just didn't care. And I didn't think that was the right spot. I thought it blew my mind when I saw all those guys give Nia Jax. Am I boring you? Oh my gosh, you just yawned in the middle of my rant.
Well, I need you to pick it up then.
Oh my gosh.
Pick it back up.
Well, next week, Sammy Callahan's replacing you. How about that?
Oh, well, maybe Sammy's replacing you. I'll talk to him this weekend about it.
Okay, great. Anyways, but back to my thing. I blew my mind on the network now. You didn't see this on network TV because some network TVs don't allow men and women violence.
Yep.
But on the network, it blew my mind when I sat there and saw what 5 guys give her the finisher.
Yeah.
I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and I knew she wasn't going to win, and it was just an added spot. It was interesting. I was surprised that they gave her the finishers instead of just her getting knocked out.
Right.
But again, not entertaining to me. Not something I enjoy.
You know what it is?
That would entertain me as much as your rant.
It's a turning point moment, though. Give that moment that credit, where that's another one of those things where you can go, hey, Royal Rumble 2019 is where whatever era we're going to call this, the vanilla era or whatever we're going to call this,
I like
into maybe Attitude 2.0 or whatever they're trying to put this into, is starting. Because when was the last time we saw a real men versus women violence? And I don't mean James Ellsworth getting beat up by Asuka in less than a minute. I mean like violence. It's been an Attitude era, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely it has been. And you know what? It was probably one of the least cool parts of the Attitude Era. It's the things that made the Attitude Era special and exciting are not the things they've tried to reincorporate.
I get it, but I think this moment that we saw deserves a little bit more.
I think we'll forget about it in 2 months.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you almost saw it again on the network where she came out. Dean Ambrose. I was interested to see where they were going because the news of him leaving came out before this. He's sitting in the chair. I'm like, all right, they're orchestrating him leaving. And Nia comes out. And I go, this is interesting. I really liked how they did that.
And see, again, I don't like. Let me preface. I don't enjoy watching Nia Jax.
Why?
I don't like her work. I just don't find her entertaining as a character.
I disagree with you. I like it where she doesn't talk. I don't think she has good mic skills. I think she needs to be the enforcer in a heel group.
That would be fine, I'm okay.
But she's okay
as
in
a
the
lead
ring.
character. I'm not a fan. She's
No.
the way her style. There's nothing about her that I find entertaining. And
You know what she is? She is.
no offense. I mean, I just
No.
as a character, I
that's
don't
all right.
enjoy.
It's okay not to like or like
Yeah.
somebody. I thought it was interesting that she should start drawing comparisons to Andre the Giant, where she is head and tails bigger than anybody else in that division, and she should be treated like a true Braun Strowman type monster.
Yeah.
And she's not.
No. I mean, I think they're trying to level it towards that direction.
Boy, they're failing miserably. And
They are going to fail. Well, and I have to question a little bit of the timing in all of this, too. Because you're going to start building her up where she's beating guys and wrestling with the guys. At some point, she's going to go back to the women.
and get beat by them too.
And get beat by them, too.
No,
Yeah.
No, I get it.
So, unless you're going to try to unseat Charlotte, Becky, Asuka with Nia Jax, who just isn't going to get over the same way.
Right.
It's not going to work. You're really setting her up for an ultimate failure because she's going to lose to the guys and then go back to the women and then she's going to lose to them too.
What did you think? Did you watch any of the pre-show?
Not much of it.
I am, look, Pat McAfee, I go back and forth on. But Sam Roberts, I loathe him. I think Sam Roberts has zero skill. Maybe he's cute on the Howard Stern show or whatever show he does. But outside of that, I have no interest in Sam Roberts. He is, you know what? He's an idiot. I'm going to say it. Sam Roberts
he
is
doesn't
a
bother me at
bona
all.
fide idiot. I can't stand him. I can't watch him. And then what was the match he was talking about where
For
it
a
was
takeover?
Yeah, Shayna Baszler versus Bianca
Belair.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes,
He went off on her.
He did. And it was
Yeah.
the stupidest rant ever. How can you say she doesn't belong there?
I thought that was a dumb move.
It was
And a risky
horrible.
move.
What are you thinking, Sam Roberts? Look, Sam Roberts is going to be way more famous than I will ever be. I'm okay with that. But you know what? Sam Roberts does not deserve to be on that panel. When you think of some of the legends that should be there, where's Booker T at? Give me Booker T. You want?
I don't know if you want to put a microphone to Booker T over Sam Roberts.
I would,
disagree with
absolutely.
that. I would not at all.
You know what? I don't like
Sam.
Jerry the King Lawler. I think he's just one of those guys. Time has passed by and
Yep,
refuses to
he
give
has.
up. I'd rather listen to him than Sam Roberts.
Lawler, I would take. Booker T, absolutely not.
No, I loathe Sam. You know what? I want to start Sam Roberts is the worst Facebook page or something because there's just nothing about Sam Roberts I like.
In fairness, I met Sam Roberts last year, and he
I
was a
hate
really,
you now.
He was a really nice guy.
I hate you
he was a very nice
just
guy.
for meeting him. Not
He was a
because I
very
like him.
nice guy.
But his idiocracy has rubbed off on you. I see it now. My
His
eyes are open.
Our picture together is above my bed at
Oh.
night. It's a great spot. I mean, I love him.
All right. But listen, when we come back, we'll definitely get more from Russ McCall and the I Love Sam Roberts fan club over here. We're going to wrap this show up. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing this weekend. You're listening to Wrestling Perspective. We'll be right back. Wow. If people could listen to what we talk about during the commercial breaks. Russ McCall just put up a picture of Sam Roberts here in the O'Reilly Artipot studios here at SB Nation. Get that off the wall.
No, it's staying. I'm going to actually wallpaper it up once you're out for the night.
Boy, I can't wait until that wall gets burnt down and we put in skylight or something other than Sam Roberts. Hey, what are you doing this weekend? We're post Royal Rumble. There's no pay-per-views coming on this weekend. Are you doing anything fun other than Super Bowl?
Well, yeah, I'm riding with you.
Yes.
And we are going down to see...
Rockstar Pro in Dayton, Ohio.
Absolutely.
Yep. And then Sunday, listen to my problem I have. Sunday, I thought I was going to a wrestling show on Saturday, which turns out to be Sunday. So I have to go to Brantford, Ontario, Canada, which is the home of Wayne Gretzky, just outside of Toronto, for a wrestling show. I believe it's Ethan Page's promotion. I'm now have decided, and I'm a Patriots guy. I love my Patriots.
Which is where I'm going to Sam Roberts you in a minute. Okay.
I deserve it. I deserve it.
Good.
But now I am going to have to unplug. I'm going to record the Super Bowl. I'm going to turn my phone off on the way home, and I'm going to watch this. I'm off on Monday, so I'm going to watch the Super Bowl and treat it like I'm watching it live.
I think it's a fair option. And just for your sake, I hope the Patriots get destroyed.
Well, I hate you too. I mean, we've already established that our friendship is dwindling.
Yeah.
And every time we do this live show, it's dwindling.
Yeah, right next to Sam Roberts' picture is going to be the picture of that little kid that was on the meme from Facebook, how he proved that Tom Brady's a giant cheater and he hates him.
Yeah.
His picture's going up next week, right next to Sam Roberts.
So once again, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Wrestling Perspective. It's so far, man. I've enjoyed doing this with you.
Me too. I love this show. I think we got a good roll going.
I like when we get off, I go back and listen again. That's how nerdy I am. I do. So, look, if you guys love wrestling and you're listening to this and you missed any part of the show, whatever radio market you're in, you can go to WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. There you can subscribe to the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can listen right from the webpage. You can listen to this. There's me and Petey Williams weekly. Although this week, Dave, Chris from OVE filled in and we talked a lot of different stuff. It was fun. So we try to give you an alternative look of wrestling all around the world of wrestling. Although I'm still waiting on you to do a show. I mean, not this one.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, what do you think I've been doing the last 3 weeks?
Not this show.
Well, and I do plan on doing that. As soon as we get some establishment moving here, I'm going to be jumping in, and we'll have a regular show. I just want to make sure I can get the right movement and give the right thing to the listeners. That's going to make them happy.
I appreciate it. And once again, go to BlueChew.com. Use the promo code Perspective, and you get your first order for free. And just pay $5 shipping and handling. I know you pay $5 for much more in life, Starbucks coffee, but that order right there will keep the Wrestling Perspective on your radios. And that's what we continuously want to do. So whether you go to Blue Chew and you feel maybe it's not for you, order it anyways. Throw it in a drawer.
Give it to the neighbor.
Give it to the neighbor.
I'm sure
burn it. Throw it in the trash. I don't care what you do with it. Just do it to keep this radio show on the air. We definitely appreciate it. What are we going to talk about next week?
Whatever happened this week. That's what I think.
More Sam Roberts.
More Sam Roberts, yeah.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hopefully you're going to some good shows. Good luck with the weather in the Midwest if you're listening there. If you're California, I hate you as much as I hate Sam Roberts.
Yeah.
So that's this week's Wrestling Perspective. Where can they find you real quick?
At Russ B. McCall.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.